Hello, mind mappers, and welcome to the video. Today we're going to be going over the Procrastination Equation by Piers Steel Phd, how to stop putting things off and start getting stuff done. We've all dealt with procrastination in our lives, and this book is written by a PhD in the topic. It's full of a lot of insightful tips on how to overcome procrastination and stop it before it even starts. With that, we'll move directly into the introduction, where I pulled out a quote that I believe gives us a good overview of what we can expect to learn inside the book. Pierce says, "This book is about every promise you made to yourself but broke. It is about every goal you set but let slide, never finding the motivation. It is about the diets postponed, late night scrambles to finish projects, and disappointed looks from the people who depend on you, or from the one you see in the mirror." Very powerful stuff here to start off the book. Procrastination really is ruining a lot of parts of our lives if you deal with it at all. It is about being the slacker in your family and the straggler in your circle of friends. It is about the menacing cloud of uncompleted chores, from the late bill payments to the clutter that fills your home. It is about that doctor's appointment you've been putting off and the finances still in disarray. It's about the dawdling delay and opportunity lost, and more, much more. This book is also about the other side, the moments of action when procrastination gives way to crystal clarity and attention. Work is devoured without hesitation, and giving up never even occurs to you. It is about personal transformation, about the unencumbered desire, free of internal competition, and the guiltless leisure you can enjoy when your daily tasks are done. This book is about potential, wasted and fulfilled, about dreams that fade into obscurity and dreams we can make come true. Best of all, this book is about shifting the rest of your life away from putting it off to getting it done. And this, again, I think is a very powerful introduction, just showcasing how procrastination is playing this major part in our lives. And we kind of constantly are worried about procrastination, but at the same time, we're often not sure how to deal with it. We could even think, what are we procrastinating on right now? This is YouTube. It's likely that you're putting something off. But not only that, it's likely that you've got a sick guilt feeling in your stomach, especially after I called you out on procrastinating. That's a feeling, of course, that we've all had, and we should be doing something, but for some reason, we can't find the motivation to do it, right? We've all had that before. This book is, again, about how we can get rid of that feeling, hopefully for good, and we're doing it through science. Pierce is one of the world's leading researchers into procrastination. He's not giving us simple tips and tricks about how to get procrastination done that aren't tested. These things are real and they've been tested and rigorously tested. He says procrastinators who understand the process behind their actions can master them and become less stressed about their deadlines and more able to meet them. So, really, we're looking to understand procrastination and know what to do about it. Because procrastination is really happening for a reason. And it's not because you're a bad person, even though that might be what your guilt is trying to tell you. Really, it's about balancing this equation that we're going to talk about next. And really, that's what the entire book is about, this procrastination equation and how to balance it out. Before we get into the equation, you can get the most out of these mind maps by following along. You can find the process of how I mind map, plus all 50 mind map templates that we've done on this YouTube channel, including this one, down at the link below. Following along with these mind maps is going to help you learn more, remember better, and apply these books to your life, which is really what we're looking to do. We don't want to just be librarians of the mind. We want to be warriors of the mind. We want to take this information and put it into action. And with that, we're doing the next big thing, which is equation. The equation for the procrastination is expectancy times value divided by impulsiveness times delay. So expectancy times value divided by impulsiveness times delay. Let's talk a little bit more about each part of that equation. And there it is, the procrastination equation, inspired by the common elements that determine when we procrastinate and crafted together from the most deeply researched elements of social science's strongest motivation theories. The procrastination equation accounts for every major finding for procrastination. As the deadline for any task gets pushed further into the future, the delay increases, which is this last part right here. and our motivation to tackle the task decreases. Impulsiveness multiplies the effects of delay, and so impulsive people feel the effects of time far less accurately, at least at first. Consequences have to be on their doorstep before they start paying attention to them, unless they are particularly large. And what makes consequences large? Expectancy and value. The bigger the payoff and the greater the likelihood of receiving it, the sooner it will capture your attention. And for me, I just love this because I love when psychology can be broken down into kind of a mathematical formula. Let's look at the formula a little bit deeper. We're going expectancy times value divided by impulsiveness times delay, where expectancy is equal to how confident are you in your ability to create whatever it is you aspire to create. How expecting are you of the ability for you actually to accomplish what you set out to accomplish? Value. Does whatever you're trying to create have real meaning to you? And can you build that meaning up in your mind? Will it be really valuable to you? Impulsiveness, this is the dividing line. Are you being easily sidetracked via immediate gratification? This is things like social media apps. This is things like any type of distraction that you normally feel is going to increase your impulsiveness. And then delay, of course, is how far into the future is your deadline. The further away it is, the less you're going to be motivated to accomplish the thing. That's why we procrastinate. It's far in the future. It doesn't matter. So how do we optimize this formula? Of course, we want to increase our expectancy and value and decrease our impulsiveness and delay. That's really what all these tips are going to be about. Reflection time. Look at a past project or the one that you're currently working on that you've procrastinated with. What is your expectancy? In other words, how sure are you that you can achieve this goal, this project that you set it to achieve? What is your value? Does this work have real meaning to you, or are you doing it just because you think you should? What is your impulsiveness? How likely are you to get distracted by instant gratification? Do you have notifications enabled on your phone and on your desktop that are going to pull you away from the work? What is your delay? How long is this project going to take to complete? Is it going to be a year, 2 years, 6 years, 10 years? The further away it is, the more difficult it is going to be for you to be motivated to actually work on it. This book, again, is just full of techniques about balancing that equation. But the first thing we need to know is when we're procrastinating, let's look back to this equation. Is my expectancy and value high, or is my impulsiveness and delay high? Again, we want the expectancy and value to be as high as we possibly can get it, and we want this impulsiveness and delay to be as low as possible. The next we're going to talk about is spirals. This is an example of a success spiral. If we set ourselves on an ongoing series of challenging but ultimately achievable goals, we maximize our motivation and make the achievement meaningful, reflecting our capabilities. Each hard-won victory gives a new sense and desire to strive for more. It is similar to the way that the Polynesian explorers colonized the South Pacific. From their home port, they saw in the distance signs of a new island, a new goal, reachable if they made the proper provisions. Setting sail, they eventually made land, only to see another distant island from their new vantage point. Every step forward is enabled by the step just taken. So, if we want to increase our expectancy, we need to create this success spiral that he's talking about here. And really, success spirals don't have to be a new island in the South Pacific. It could be as simple as I got my first task done for the day. And then, because of that, I'm more likely to get my second task done of the day. Expectancy is kind of obvious when you think about it. If you don't have the confidence that you're going to accomplish something, why would you even waste calories trying? Similarly, if you haven't achieved something recently, why would you think you could achieve this? You don't have any motivation, you don't have any momentum. That's how procrastination can get you actually stuck in the opposite of this success spiral, the downward spiral. We kind of keep committing to projects that we don't accomplish, and we're less and less likely to accomplish the next one that we set out to accomplish. Luckily, as Piers points out here, the ability to spiral downwards also means that we have the ability to spiral upwards. Gary Keller, inside his book, The One Thing, which I really love, I recommend that you check it out, it's on this channel, has a great analogy of dominoes, and I think it fits really well over top of this success spiral framework that Piers points out here. Knocking down that first domino takes effort, and you have to focus only on that one thing. You can see here in this diagram that the first domino is just 2 inches tall. And once you knock that one over, you get the next domino, and the next domino can be just a little bit bigger. And eventually, through the power of compounding, you've got the 18th domino is the size of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. The 31st domino is 3,000 feet above Mount Everest. And just by domino number 57, you're almost at the distance to the moon. So you can see that really this success spiral starts with a very small action, but we want to make sure that we're knocking over that domino and then moving on to the next domino. That's how we kind of create that success spiral. For me, this idea of success spiral, this idea of dominoes, this idea of the one thing has heavily influenced how I plan my day. A couple of principles that I use to plan my day to create that success spiral as reliably and recreatably as possible every single day. Number one, the day starts the night before for me. I have a plan for how to attack the morning. Quite often, people will wake up, coaching clients will wake up, and they won't know what they're going to accomplish first thing. So, their first thing to accomplish is to decide what to accomplish. And that really kind of limits your ability to gain momentum in actually accomplishing things. Number two is I get some pre-input wins. So before email or before social, I do something meaningful. That's often when these mind maps get created, although I try not to do the voiceover for the mind maps first thing in the morning because my voice is all grumbly in first thing in the morning. But when I make these mind maps, it's almost always first thing in the morning. It's almost always the first thing that I do. I'm either reading the book or I'm putting the points into the place or I'm rearranging them, getting ready for the production of the video. Number three is I make sure to create a checklist, and I actually cross the items off on my list. It's right beside me on my desk over here. I have 3 things that I plan to accomplish today. And as soon as I accomplish the first thing, I stroke that off and I'm on to the next one and on to the next one. And I get that momentum, I get that domino effect, and I get that ability to create a success spiral on a daily basis. And of course, the way that you live one day is the way that you live your week. And the way that you live your week is the way that you live your month, and so on and so forth. Having one good day eventually spirals up into having the good life. Mental contrast is our next big idea. What happens if you forego the second step and just focus on positive fantasies alone? Something we've talked about a lot on this channel already. Creative visualization advocates just that. It involves creating vivid and compelling pictures of your heart's desire with the aim of drawing that vision towards you. Very popular nowadays. But Oettingen, who has researched this for 20 years, find that such fantasies actually tend to have the opposite effect than advertised. They sap motivational energy. The only wealth created by creative visualization is a rich fantasy life. Whether the task is preparing for exams, getting a job, recovering from surgery, smoking less, dating an attractive stranger, or improving personal relationship, she found that the worst performing group used positive fantasies alone. So you're better off not using this technique at all. And really what we're talking about here is value. How do we increase the expected value of a particular task or project that we're working on? So we're talking about value and also what not to do. This creative visualization that's so popular nowadays is actually kind of going to lead you down a road where you're just doing creative visualization and not taking action, which of course is not what we want. Value, again, is that important part of the equation to increase. That's what we're looking for. We're increasing the value or the perceived value. But of course, there's some bad advice out there. Positive thinking advocates will tell you that you simply need to imagine a compelling future, which sounds really nice. It increases the value in motivating you to get what you want out of it. That's what they would say. It turns out that this actually makes you value the thing that you want to accomplish less. Gabrielle Oettingen, inside her book Rethinking Positive Thinking, researched this very deeply for over 20 years. I recommend that you check out this Rethinking Positive Thinking book. It's available on the channel. It's a very great read as well if you have the time to read it, but definitely check out the mind map. She found that people who focused only on positive thinking actually zapped their motivation and were less likely to accomplish the goal. So what might we do instead? Well, we want to rub that compelling vision, the one that we created in our minds of the things that we wanted to do with this creative visualization. We need to rub that up against reality by whooping. And whooping is kind of this process that Gabrielle coined in order to kind of give you a step-by-step process of what to do after creative visualization to actually get you motivated, to actually help you accomplish your goals. And it's really a four-step process. Number one is the W, which is wish. What is an important wish that you want to accomplish? And that's that creative visualization. That's step number one. So creative visualization isn't wrong necessarily, but Oettingen would say that it's not the whole part of the process. And in fact, you need to do the next three steps in order to accomplish what you're looking for. Number two is outcome, which is the O, obviously. What would be the best result from accomplishing your wish? So what would be the best case scenario? Really think about everything that could possibly go right if you accomplished your wish. The second O is for obstacles. What is the main obstacle that you might be preventing you from accomplishing this goal? What's the main thing in your way? P is for plan. What is an effective action to tackle that obstacle? So you bring that into reality. I want to accomplish this thing. This is the best possible result. I'll build this value up in my mind. I'm likely to encounter these certain obstacles, and my plan for when I accomplish these obstacles, when I come to these obstacles, is this. A very simple plan. We've talked about if-then statements on the channel before. That's generally how I like to go about it is if I come up to, like, let's say I'm wanting to wake up early. If my alarm goes off at 5 o'clock in the morning and I don't feel like waking up, I'm going to get up anyways. That's kind of the if-then statement. Our next point here is about extra month. This is a very important point I think that everyone should be thinking about. Here's a trick that will give you an extra month of efficiency each and every year. It's easy to implement, immediately effective, and doesn't cost a cent. First, go to your email program. Second, disable all the audio alerts and mailbox pop-ups. That's it. There is no third step. Banishing email notifications will make you about 10% more efficient, and over a year, that translates to one more month of productivity. The best work happens when you engage deeply on a single task. Every time you stop your flow, you have to once again decide to work, and then it takes time to become fully re-engaged. Unfortunately, we are conditioned to answer email instantly, responding to the telltale ding like Pavlov's dogs. Unless you have a pressing reason, check your email at your convenience during natural breaks in your productivity. So let's talk about reducing our impulsiveness. Remember, we've got this kind of procrastination equation right here, which is expectancy times value. Spirals increases our expectancy. Mental contrasting increases our value. Extra month is going to decrease our impulsiveness. So that's really what we're looking at here. Creating expectancy and value are an important part of the equation. But if we don't work on impulsiveness and delay, we're dead in the water. We don't have the ability to actually accomplish these amazing things that we expect and value. So first, we need to get rid of distractions. Piers says here that we should eliminate all notifications. I think that's great. I've done that. You should do that if you haven't done that already. But we're going to go a little deeper. Remember the pre-input wins that we talked about. It means no checking email, no checking social media or texts before your most important work. These will derail your best work before you even start. Here's my steps. This is how I go about it. Number one, my phone is on airplane mode and in another room when I'm doing my best work, my most important work. First thing in the morning, my phone is nowhere near me. I don't have the ability to go and check any of my notifications. Number two, my browser extension is shut off. All of my distracting websites are completely shut off. I actually use the Zen mode inside of Xmind if I'm doing my Xmind so that I can't even access any of my apps and that sort of thing. Number three is just to remember that you will be tempted to stop doing this. It gets difficult. You get 5 minutes in and it's feeling a little bit difficult for you to actually not check your notifications. But it's worth it for you to push through those temptations. Don't give in to the distractions. That's going to systematically decrease your impulsiveness. As a person, you won't be as impulsive, and that's really what we're doing. Not only are these two things very helpful, But really, I think they're the ground rules for becoming a less impulsive person, which of course is what we're doing if we're trying to get rid of procrastination. We need to be less impulsive. Second, step into flow and become 10 times more productive. Flow is this mental state where you can get 10 times the amount of work done in the same amount of time that we normally would. It's a state that we can create and recreate if we set up our environment correctly. Number one, of course, adhere to that no distraction steps above. Number two is pick a specific goal, a specific task, and a time period. For me, it's a specific mind map in 45 minutes. That's how long I'm doing this task for. Number three is most activities benefit from some focusing music. So when I'm mind mapping, not what I'm reading, but when I'm mind mapping, I listen to some focusing music. Two books that I recommend on this category here of decreasing impulsiveness and stepping into flow are, of course, Deep Work by Cal Newport, Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport, both available again on this channel. And number two, I recommend Flow by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, which is a great book all about flow and all about creating the conditions so that you can fall into flow more often in your day-to-day life, which, of course, being 10 times more productive, will be able to get a heck of a lot more done. Our next big idea here is sleep. Get plenty of sleep. That really could be it. That could be the main point. But continuing on, Piers says being too tired is the number one reason people cite for putting things off. If you're not getting 8 hours of sleep at night, you're harming your performance during the day. Lack of sleep significantly lowers all forms of cognitive performance, making everything you do more difficult. Here's an idea. Instead of setting your alarm clock to get yourself up, set it to cue you to go to sleep. When you hear that buzz, start to wind down. This is kind of a bonus point. Hopefully it's obvious by now. So many books that we've done on sleep already, but sleep makes just about everything better. It's a helpful tip. You want to set up that sleep routine. That's really what we're doing here. Setting that kind of bedtime alarm is one way to go about it, but I set a specific time to be in bed. I want to be in bed 8.5 hours before the time that I plan to wake up. This pre-bed ritual can calm your nervous system. You want to have something set up for this calming of your nervous system where we don't want to be working right up until the minute that we jump into bed because, of course, we'll never fall asleep. Number three is to create a good sleep environment. So for me, this is my routine. This is what it looks like for me. Time for bed, 8:30 every single night. I'm ready. I'm getting into bed by 8:30. Before that, I start stretching, I drink some tea, I have a little bit of lavender oil and CBD oil just on my skin, and I read a fiction book in my bed at 8:30 p.m. That's kind of my 8:30 p.m. I start reading the fiction book. Probably within half an hour, I'm at the end of a chapter and ready to fall asleep. I also have blackout curtains, noise reduction where possible, and as cool a room as you can get. All three of those things are from Sleep Smarter by Sean Stevenson, a really great book that we've done on this channel all about sleep if you want to dive a little bit more into the sleep part of the equation. So our final point here is about goals. We're going to talk about goal setting, proper goal setting. It's the smartest thing you can do to battle procrastination. Though every other technique discussed so far, of course, has its place, goal setting alone may be all you need. Along with making your goals challenging and meaningful, follow these remaining steps. Regardless of what other books say, this is what's proven to maximize your motivation. Frame your goals in specific terms so that you know precisely when you have to achieve them. What exactly do you have to do? And when do you have to do it by? Break down long-term goals into a series of short-term objectives. For particularly daunting tasks, begin with a mini goal to break the motivational surface tension. For example, a goal of tackling just the first few pages of any required reading can often be enough to get you to finish the entire text. And that's kind of the success spiral part that we talked about before. Organize your goals into routines that occur regularly at the same time and place. Predictability is your pal. So you open your schedule and pencil in recurring tasks. Better yet, use indelible pen. Make sure you can't erase it. The number one thing to increase your motivation and reduce procrastination is goals. More specifically, goals that are specific and time-based, broken down into manageable tasks, and organized into routines. Here we go. Let's set a goal for whatever you're procrastinating on. Step number 1, what specifically do you want to accomplish and when? Step number 2, can we break that into a few shorter term objectives? Step number 3, how can we add movement towards that goal, ideally into your daily life? I recommend you use some of the things we already talked about today, like setting up that success spiral early in the morning. I recommend that you set that sort of thing up so that you can get stuff done first thing. That's usually when we're the most productive. Of course, there are people that are productive at different points in the day, but for me, it's always first thing in the morning. That was the Procrastination Equation by Piers Steel. Thank you for being with me here today. I want to give you something that I'm not going to give everyone who didn't watch the video all the way through. There's a free coaching session down in the description below. If you click on that, we can work on Procrastination 101 together. I want to do this because you've committed to watch the video all the way till the end. I want to commit something to you. Click on that link down below. We'll set up a session and we'll overcome procrastination together. Thanks for watching the video, and I hope to see you in the next one.